No, at times, like, I didn't know this was custom at the time, but, I had to get up and give speeches in the staff room when I first met everybody. And after I gave my little speech, they all stood up and clapped.
What is this? It's just like the first day you have to give a speech, or
So I think it was the first week at school. I gave like a quick little intro, hey guys, during the like morning staff meeting.
okay,
And that was fine. That was in English, and it was fine. But then I was told we've got like a after school like serious staff meeting, like a once a week thing that we do, and we want you to give a speech in Japanese. And I was like, I don't speak Japanese. And they're like, don't worry, we'll translate it for you. And I was like, that doesn't help. Translate it all into Japanese, and then you give it back to me to speak it. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't understand, the language at all. So, well, I wrote out this, like, they didn't really explain what they wanted me to do. So I wrote like this like biography of my life, which is what I thought that they wanted.
right. So they didn't tell you.
So it's this like 2-page long speech that I wrote out and gave to the head English teacher. And he was like, okay.
But he was too polite to correct you.
Yeah, no, he translated it all into Japanese. He gave me this he gave it back to me in like 4 pages of all written in like Romaji, right? Written in like, Latin script or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like trying to like read it and figure out how do I pronounce this so everyone's going to understand what I'm saying, because I don't even know how to pronounce much in Japanese.
Right.
So I actually went to a friend. I took him out to dinner, a guy who was living in the same building as me, and I was like, hey, how do you break this up? Like, I don't even know what's a word, because it wasn't written in Japanese at all. So he had to like, it was actually kind of difficult for him, but he went through and was like trying to figure out where it was at. And he was like, okay, so here's the sentence, here's the words, stress this part. And he kind of like coached me how to like speak it. And honestly, it was probably horrible what I did. I don't know. I'm sure I butchered that speech.
For sure. There's no way you could do it. It's
but
4
I did
pages.
It like two full English, like college. Like I wrote an essay, like I was straight out of college. I wrote my essay.
Yeah.
I would have got an A on that, but doing that and making them listen to me struggle through that speech it felt like it was taking a half hour. It was probably only a couple minutes.
It must be so painful for everyone.
But everyone was eye contact, paying attention, being really polite. And at the end, it was a big round of applause. And, and I didn't, at the time, I didn't know that. It's fairly common. Like when they introduce new teachers and stuff in Japan, they come into the staff room, they give a little, like a short introduction. Hey, this is my name. I'm going to be doing this at this school.
Right.
Please treat me well. Please treat me kindly. I'm going to do my best. Thank you. You do that little speech and then everyone stands up and claps. And that's part of the culture. I didn't know it at the time. I was like, why are these people? Why you don't got to clap for me? It's just kind of like a hi, thanks guys. But yeah.
So you did the right thing in making the introduction of yourself.
Trying.
It was just like way too long.
Yeah.
And the other teacher never told you that it should be like I guess he just assumed you knew what was like.
And knowing what I know about Japanese culture, which, it's still, I have my limits even today, but knowing what I know, I hope it came across right, because like I was told to like tell all about myself. And as American, like, all right,
here we go. You ready?
Let me give you the story. So like, and I told them about like all the clubs that I was in. I thought I was selling myself. It was like a resume or something that I would write up for like a college interview or something like that. I really went all out, put everything in there, like all the sports I had played, all the languages I had studied, everywhere I'd lived, everywhere I'd traveled, all these kind of things. And I put that all in there. And I wonder, honestly, how it came across now. They were probably like, man, this guy really likes to talk about himself and brag about himself.
He loves himself a lot.
When it was the opposite, feeling of what I was trying to get across. Like I was just trying to make them happy with what they asked for. Probably went a little overboard, but yeah.
Well,
no.
I think they just didn't give you clear instructions. And they probably thought you knew, because they probably thought, oh, you probably do the same thing in America.
Yeah.
Like they probably think like the work culture, the teaching culture is probably similar.
Right.
They sometimes it's just so, how do I put this? It's just so easy to assume.
Yeah.
That
there is like nuanced communication.
Yeah.
Sometimes where, they ask for this. I think they want this, and I give what I give, and they're just like, thank you. And like there was no feedback. It wasn't like, hey, really liked your speech, or actually in the future, or anything like that. There was no feedback. And honestly, that was a pretty constant theme for people working in schools. You don't often get a lot of feedback on like the work that you do. And maybe, people who have lived and taught in Japan might be sick of hearing this every situation is different phrase. But everyone might have had a different experience than me. But through a lot of my time in Japan, there hasn't been much feedback from people. It was like, hey, we want you to do this. I did my best to like understand what they were asking for and execute that. But I don't know if I was successful or not based on their reaction. It was always just a, hey, thanks. There was no, feedback to it. So it would be interesting now if I could like be a fly on the wall and go back to that day and just see and hear myself as well, what I was saying and how I was saying it and how it was being taken, because I have a little bit more of a, ability to like read the room now, or a little bit with Japanese culture and everything like that.
Yeah, now
at the
you
time.
have way more understanding than before.
Right.